Subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell icon for the latest film interviews, features, and recommendations on the movies that matter. Gentlemen, it's so good to see you. Randhir Kapoor, Rahul Rawail, thank you. Thank you for joining me today, of course, to talk about the life and the cinema of the great Raj Kapoor. Our chat, of course, is meant to mark the release of the book, Rahul, that you've written. Now, there have been several biographies, of course, of Raj Kapoor on his life, and there have been several books that have also analyzed his work, dissected his films. But I feel like this really is a one-of-a-kind book, because what you're doing, Rahul, through this book is giving us a bird's eye view of his process of really watching him at work, because you, of course, assisted him for many, many years as an assistant director, of course. This book is called Raj Kapoor, Master at Work. And I should say, for anyone that's watching this, the book is now available to pre-order. So anyone that's a cinephile, everyone that loves Raj Kapoor's work can now, of course, pre-order the book. You know, I want to start with you, Dabuji, as his oldest son who spent as much time with Raj Kapoor on set as you did at home. What would you say really was his driving force? You know, one has heard the great stories of you know, the extent he would go to get the shot that he needed. You know, the love for cinema and mortgaging your mother's house to make and almost losing it to make Mera Naam Joker. And then, of course, there are the stories of him, you know, his love for great food, his love for fraternizing with his friends, you know, the big parties. How do you remember him, Dabuji?
But I remember him as a very passionate filmmaker. He was not the usual father who would pamper his kids and make them sit on his lap and things. He ate, drank, slept, lived only for his films. And most of the time that his waking up time was spent talking about his cinema and how he thought about the scenes that he was shooting.
Yeah.
So I would welcome Rahul's book that he's writing on my father and the technique that he used to make his films. I have read a couple of his passages. I haven't read the full book because it's not out as yet.
Right.
But they are brilliantly conceived, and it shows an insight into the cinema that Raj Kapoor dreamt of and made.
Right. Rahul, you know, you say in the book that that you first watched Raj Kapoor at work when you went with your dear friend Chintuji, the late Rishi Kapoor, to the set of Mera Naam Joker. He was shooting the circus scenes, and you went to the set. And of course, the reason to go to the set was to ogle those Russian dancers. But
yes, obviously.
but it was after you all went you went day after day after day that you realized this is what I want to do. Can you recount what it was like for an impressionable youngster to watch this great filmmaker at work? Can you recount what really stayed with you at the end of those 15 days watching Raj Kapoor do his magic?
See, that is what got me into watching him and mesmerized me was, though I'd been to before, you know, Dad was a filmmaker also.
Of course.
But watching Rata, you know, orchestrating and controlling so many things. In the circus, we had the crowd, we had the circus artists, we had the actors, we had the unit, and he was seriously controlling all these people, and it was like magic. And that's the magic I saw, you know, which really made me want to go over and over and over again to watch him work. And every day that I went, it taught me something new. I learned a new thing. So that's what the book I tried to really talk about his work and the way he worked and all that. Like you said earlier, it's a different
book in the sense
it's not about Raj Kapoor,
the showman and all that.
This is Raj Kapoor at work.
Correct.
You know, that's what.
And there are beautiful memories actually in the book. I've read it now, and you know, his music process, his process of creating music, the way that he worked with his cinematographer, the way that he worked with his editor, it really is a you know, a glimpse into his process, which is incredible and wonderful because it's sort of firsthand. Double G, what was it like growing up under his shadow? As you tried to make your way as an actor and filmmaker, was it hard to kind of live up to the brilliance of your great father?
Of course, you see, Raj Kapoor is a huge Himalayan figure, and it's difficult to compete with the Himalayas, as you
Right.
can see. But at least we are trying. One should try. Everybody doesn't become a Lata Mangeshkar or a Mohammad Rafi or a Kishore Kumar, but
Correct.
at least you should try.
Rahul, along with the many stories of his sharp mind and his incredible working style, his conviction, you also in a very respectful and affectionate way talk about his eccentricities. Raj Kapoor's sort of crazy quirks, sort of the putting the mad into mad genius, as they used to call him. And my favorite story of them all is the one where you talk about how he late in the night drove to the home of the Tamil Nadu distributor who hadn't paid him the overflow from Bobby, and he pulls off his lungi in the middle of the night and he says, "I'm taking this with me, and you'll get it back when you give me my money back."
Yeah. See, he was uh, he was eccentric, and I guess every genius needs that eccentricity. And there's lots of incidents, whatever I could remember,
Right.
which I put into the book. And Dabu Saab said that he is not the kind who would make his children sit on their lap. Though there is an incident in the book about one evening when he wanted his children to sit in his lap. And there's an incident about that. It's quite funny, quite sweet.
Right.
But rather coming to it, I think whatever he did, whatever he said, whatever his works were somehow connected to cinema. Somewhere or the other, he had a connection with whatever he did. Even when he went to a distributor and pulled off his lungi, it was this guy who was not paying what was due to him.
Right.
It's not that he was trying to bully him into it. So he had his eccentricity, of course, and that made him the genius that he really.
Right. Can both of you talk about how your own cinema and your own work was in fact inspired or influenced by watching him and his work? Because Dabu Sahab, you of course directed him as well.
Well, I think most of Indian directors are inspired by Raj Kapoor,
Yeah.
and so was I. I'm a great admirer of his talent and art. But he was a very, very obedient actor. He has worked in 2 films under my direction, and he would make it a point not to interfere in anything whatsoever. He said, a film is a director's media.
Mm.
He makes it or breaks it.
Right.
The artist, the actor enhances the scene. But the whole concept is the director's.
Right.
So you tell me how you want it to be done. If you know how to do it, you'll survive. If you don't, it was not to be.
Right.
So he was a very, very obedient actor, and the rest is history. He has done some great work
Indeed.
as an actor and a director.
Right. Of course. Rahul?
Yeah, Rajeev, I learned a lot when I was assisting Dabu Saab on Kala Dharam Karam
Yeah.
and watching him work with Raj Saab. Now here was Randhir Kapoor working as a director with his father Raj Kapoor, who I consider to be probably the greatest director ever.
Mm.
And I used to watch him that whatever Dabu Saab said, he would do exactly that.
Mm.
So for him, the vision of the director was very clear, and he would only go with that vision. Now that is something I think which got imbibed in me, and through 4 films of mine, Love Story, Betab, Arjun, and Dakat, his influence was huge. I've written a book about it also, and for me, I had this privilege of running to him whenever I had a problem.
Right.
asking him to help me and how do I solve it. And then he would very painstakingly go through it with me. And I always listened to what he said and tried to, and he was very encouraging in whatever he did. The
Right.
one film I directed, which he produced, that was DVOBV.
Yeah.
And Dabu Saab was the hero in that.
Mm.
He never came on the set of that film. And that's the only film when I went to him that said, I've got a problem here. He said, you're the director, go and solve it yourself. Why are you asking me? So this is the kind of person he was. And he helped me a lot. Those 4 films of mine were influenced in a very big way by him. Very, very big way.
You know, Dabuji, 2 years ago, of course, the family sold RK Studios to private developers. Also, there hasn't been another film from the banner since Aab Laut Chale in 1999. Do you believe that this is where the legacy ends, or do you believe that perhaps the 4th generation, maybe the 5th generation, will in fact revive the banner, continue to make films?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
never
never
know.
know.
You
You
never
never
know.
know.
You
You
never
never
know
know
who will make it next. Lots
Lots
of
of us involved in it.
and
And
you see,
you
we
see,
had
after that, RK Studios got bought.
Right.
and
And
since
since
all
all
the
the focus
on
on
cinema,
cinema has shifted to
the
the Western cinema,
Mm.
the
the
film
film
city
city, there was hardly any West
in
in
Chembur.
Chembur. At that time, Chembur had always been.
Right.
But
Now,
now there's very little work there.
and
And with the studio getting burnt down to ashes,
you
you
won't
won't
believe
believe it. I have no memorabilia of Raj Kapoor
Oh dear.
now.
Oh
It's all
dear.
burned.
I
I
used
used to have all the studios, all the properties of all things,
Mm.
properly gazetted and put into our place.
Right.
But
last.
it's not to be.
Right.
We lost everything. And to put it up again at a huge cost with no return was not a sensible thing to do.
Right.
So they decided it.
And
You might as well have a need. I think we did it in good time. I've lost my 2 brothers also now.
Yeah.
So 2 of my working hands have gone.
Right.
So it's not worth it.
Right. Before we end, I want to ask, do you have one overwhelming, overarching memory of Raj Kapoor? Because it's really through your eyes and through your memories that we're able. I mean, for many of us, I mean, one didn't have an opportunity to see him at work or to ever see him. His films, of course, continue to live on, and they're incredible films that really are this great legacy. But what is your overarching memory, Rahul, if you like, of is there one defining memory of Raj Kapoor? And for you, Dabuji, I know it's a tough one because for you it's both personal and having worked with him, but for both of you?
For me, there is no single memory. I think his complete sense, his complete way of filmmaking, whether it was his, like you said, his eccentricity or his food habits or the way he works with the unit and the way he shot his films.
Right.
I think that is something which, and finally the book which I've written has all come from memory.
Yeah.
The memory was so strong. You probably see when you read the whole book.
Yeah.
And Dabu Saab's mother, Krishna Aunty, when I started the book, I had met Dabu Saab, I met Chintu, I met everyone. And I met Krishna Aunty. And she said, Rahul, you must write this book because you are the only living person who knows how my husband shot this film. And if you don't chronicle this, that is still something which people will never know about. So I hope people really do understand what Raj Kapoor really was.
For me, Rahul, I feel like it's just such a beautiful marriage of beautiful professional anecdotes of his working style, but also those little nuggets which only come from sort of personal observation. I mean, the fact that he wanted to travel only by train to Pune because he enjoyed the cutlets and sandwiches on the train. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
such a beautiful portrait of a man who loved life, and that included his cinema, of course, but also his food and his drink and his friends and his family. So really, congratulations on a lovely book, Rahul. To everyone again, the book is now available to pre-order on Amazon. We're going to put the link up on this interview so you can pre-order there. But thank you, Randhir Kapoor. Thank you, Rahul Rawail. It really is beautiful to revive these memories of a great filmmaker. Thank you so much. Thank you.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Thank
Rajni.
you.